This episode brought to you by Cafe Imports, Minneapolis-based importers of fine specialty green coffees. Independently owned and operated since 1993, Cafe Imports has been dedicated to decreasing its impact on the earth through renewable energy, carbon neutrality, and by supporting conservational efforts in places where quality coffee is grown and also where quality coffee is consumed. Where does your coffee come from?
And by the National Parks of Lake Superior Foundation. As a nonprofit, we rely on support from listeners like you. If you like what you hear, please consider a donation. To learn more and make a gift, visit us at www.gosuperior.org.
Welcome to the Lake Superior Podcast. I'm Walt Lindala.
And I'm Frida Waara. We are made stronger by story, and there's no better source than the continent's largest body of fresh water, Lake Superior.
So join us as we highlight the 5 national parks that ring this greatest of the Great Lakes, meet the people, tour the places, and learn about the projects that make these parks and body of water so remarkable.
This podcast made possible with the support of the National Parks of Lake Superior Foundation and Media Brew Communications.
I'm Walt Lindala.
And I'm Frida Waara.
Welcome once again to the Lake Superior Podcast. Today, Frida, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the region, but in a slightly different way. Tell us a little bit about what we've got lined up.
Well, you know, if it hasn't been farmed, it's been mined. Anything on this planet. And when you think about the minerals of the Great Lake region, it's pretty fascinating. Their history is long and varied. And for me, I've got a lot of friends that love to rock hunt around Lake Superior, and you got to know what's out there. And there's no better person to kind of guide us on this tour than John Jaszczak.
Yeah, John Jaszczak is the director and curator of the A.E. Seaman Mineral Museum, which is in Houghton, Michigan. Welcome to the podcast, John.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you today.
We wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about something unique, as we talk a lot about the Lake Superior and Lake Superior shorelines and all of that. You have a direct line on this with being the director and curator at the Mineral Museum. But tell us a little bit about the history, a little bit about A.E. Seaman Mineral Museum. What is it all about?
Oh, sure. I like to say that the reason we're here is because of the geology and because of copper in particular. You know, that's not only the museum, but the university and probably most of us who are living up here in the Keweenaw Peninsula. And as you may know, Douglas Houghton he's our first state geologist. He wrote a report in 1842 that gave some indication of the possible economic viability of mining copper here, and copper mining took off. It led to the first metal mining boom in America, and mines started. A lot of them didn't succeed, but a lot of them did, and it's amazing that the native copper deposit here is really unique in the world for the quantity that exists of the native metal, that it was mineable. It was a tremendous industry supplying needed copper for the country for electrification, and of course copper is still being used. But it's amazing, in the more modern mining industry, over 11 billion pounds of copper were produced. But native peoples were actually mining the copper perhaps 8,000 years before. So the history is long and rich. But fortunately, with the start of Michigan Tech originally in 1885 as the Michigan Mining School, we were charged with keeping a collection of minerals of the Upper Peninsula and categorizing them, and the university or the school started buying minerals right away for teaching. And Professor Seaman set some aside and started the museum in 1902 for display. And we carry on that legacy to this day, and the facilities that we now are just fantastic.
Yeah, what's there? I mean, for somebody that comes and checks it out, I mean, what can they expect?
Sure. Yeah, the museum has had several homes on campus, but now we're on the south part of campus in a purpose-built building with easy parking, no elevators, so you can pull right up to the building, the park, and come on in. There's about 8,000 square feet, we have about 4,000 minerals on display, and we take care of over 37,000 minerals that belong to Michigan Tech, and also we take care of the University of Michigan's mineral collection. So we have the world's best specimens of copper and minerals from the overall the Great Lakes region, but also we have minerals from all over the world. So there's something for everybody. We try and let people know that the minerals are all around us. They're really important. They're beautiful. They have scientific stories. They have personal stories, adventure stories. So hopefully you get a glimpse of the beauty and the unexpected interest as you go around in the galleries. And probably the one that people the most say, "Wow, I didn't expect this," is when they see the minerals glowing in the beautiful colors under the fluorescent lights in our fluorescent mineral gallery.
Do you remember your first time to go to the museum?
Oh, yes. It's somewhat of a funny story, actually, because when I was in graduate school studying physics, a fellow student who was studying geology came up here for a vacation to collect minerals and see the museum. And when he went back, this was in Columbus, Ohio, he said, "John, you have to go see the museum in the Upper Peninsula." He said, "It's amazing. And the museum has so many coppers." And I literally looked at a map and told him, "It can't be worth the trip." How ironic that is.
Yeah.
Because I was certainly wrong. I interviewed for a physics faculty position at Michigan Tech in 1991, and I had heard about the museum before, but that was the first time I was here. I had about 20 minutes, and I still remember vividly when the doors of the elevator opened. It was at that time on the 5th floor of the EERC building on campus. And I just stood there in awe as I saw case after case after case of the beautiful minerals. And, actually my first impression was, wow, I don't think I need to collect minerals anymore because I can't compete with this. But, I have the collector gene, so I didn't give up, and I ended up supporting the museum as much as I could. So I'm a professor in physics, actually, but my interest in science and being a scientist goes back to my childhood interest in minerals, and that's actually something I hope to grow in my work here, that we would get young people interested in minerals. Maybe they don't want to be a mineralogist, but they could be a chemist or physicist or just appreciate the wonder of the mineral kingdom.
But I'm just thinking here, like somebody might say, well, it's a museum, and I'm not saying it is, but someone could perceive it or misperceive it as, oh, it's just a bunch of rocks on display, and how exciting could this be? But you sound like you have built a space there that is truly interactive and learning about these minerals and what's here and in the region of Lake Superior, right?
Yes. We are not, a children's museum like we have a lot of hands-on engagement things, but we do have some things to engage with. We have a nice outside garden, so in nicer weather, there's also things you can do outside in the nice weather. But with a variety of displays and, honestly, a really nice gift shop. Kids love minerals, and not only being able to see them, but to realize, boy, I can actually go out and find them, or I can buy some. It's a very fulfilling hobby.
John, how did your life path? So you came to Michigan Tech in 1991 to be a physics professor?
That's right, yeah.
And then how did you end up at the museum?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was interested in minerals since I was a young child, and that made me ultimately want to be a scientist. But I think really important was when I first did come to the museum and the curator, Stan Dial, was there. He welcomed me in. He actually made me a cup of coffee, and we chatted. It made me feel super welcome. So it was just like an instant connection, feeling welcome, and I had some expertise and interest I can bring. So I started volunteering. We started a society to help raise money for the museum so it could buy specimens and have lectures and events that people can come to, and never gave that up. I started helping take care of the museum's database. I did some research on minerals, and fortunately the physics department here has been very supportive. There is an overlap between the area of physics called solid state physics and crystals and minerals. So I've been able to play on both sides of the fence, so to speak, there with the physics and the mineralogy end of things.
How long have you served as the director and curator now of the museum?
And that's been since our former director, Ted Bornhorst, retired in the end of June in 2020. So actually right in the pandemic times, I started as director and curator. And my first day on the job was actually the first day the university allowed the museum to reopen to the public.
Oh.
And boy, that was fantastic because people were really eager to get out of the house and see something, so people would come in and thank us for being open.
Great.
And I give Dr. Bornhorst a lot of credit for that and the university for helping us navigate the ability to do that.
We're talking with John Jaszczak here today, who is the director and curator of the A.E. Seaman Mineral Museum. This is located at Michigan Tech University in Houghton. Let's talk a little bit about the significance, John, of the minerals of Lake Superior. Why are they important? What are some of the things you can share about that?
Well, both in terms of minerals for the sake of the collectors as well as minerals for economics, it spans importance in both areas. With the copper, like I said, with literally billions of pounds of copper as a metal being extracted and supplying the needs for copper in the country for 150 years or so. And we participate actually along with other Keweenaw National Historical Park heritage sites to try and tell the complete story. You know, we're not a mining museum, but there are other mining museums here in the National Historical Park. So we're partnering together to tell that complete story of just how amazing the copper deposits are up here. And they produce beautiful crystals and associated minerals like even silver. So we have a really nice display of silver as well. And the iron mining taking place literally all around Lake Superior. So we have a gallery here that focuses on the iron mining. And unlike the copper, which is no longer being mined for commercial copper, iron mining is still going around even here in the Upper Peninsula. So that continues to be tremendously important.
John, are there minerals yet to be discovered around Lake Superior?
Oh, that's a really fun question. I think so far in the Keweenaw Peninsula, at least, there are 5 minerals that were first found here and used to describe them as being accepted as new minerals. I'm not sure about the Upper Peninsula overall, but just in the Keweenaw there are 5. And one of them actually was recently named Jean Kempite after our former curator, Jean Peterman Kemp Zimmer. Remarkable woman and did tremendous amount for building the collection and taking care of it. But one of our alumni, Travis Olds, is a PhD mineralogist and curator at the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh. He studies new minerals, and he named this in honor of Jean. That was published in 2020, so not long ago. So yes, new minerals have been found recently from the Keweenaw, and I think Travis thinks there are probably some more, and so we're going to look to collaborate when he can come here and visit again. So we have a few new things to look at. It does take some work, though, to discover a new mineral.
Yeah.
Well, share that.
Yeah, tell us about that part in particular.
Well, the first one that comes to my mind is luck. But really what luck is the coming together of I think, some key ingredients. And one is persistence and expertise. Even amateur mineralogists can become really experts in a focus area. So one of my personal areas of interest are the minerals of the Marilani Tanzanite gem mines in northern Tanzania. All kinds of collectors have specialties, and then they recognize, oh, this is unusual, or I haven't seen that before, and it helps sift through and say, I think this is worth studying further. But then it takes somebody who has the patience, time, passion, and equipment to be able to take it to the next step and say, okay, what is this? Is it really new? What's the chemistry like? What are its properties? And when you pass through all those steps, going from the luck, which is actually expertise, to finding something new, then to characterize it, you have to send a proposal to a commission of new minerals nomenclature and classification. It's a commission of the International Mineralogical Association. So literally a community of scientists around the world on that commission vote on whether the science supports that mineral proposal is valid, and then they also vote on the name. So that's also one of the fun things about minerals is the discoverers who publish it get to give it a name, and it could be named after a person or chemistry or a locality. It's kind of part of the fun character of the science of mineralogy.
So there's really a process to it. I mean, obviously there is, but I mean, this is really just kind of a find something and then research it and say, okay, this is something different, then send it in effect up the chain to the other reviewers, and then it gets approved or not, right? I mean, that's it.
Right. And if it gets approved by the commission, then the scientists are supposed to publish it in a peer-reviewed publication within 2 years, so that it has the backing and validity of having a independent scientific review for formal publication. So it really is a formal process.
How many new minerals do we discover in an average year?
For several years now, it's been something on the order of about 100 new minerals a year.
Really?
And I just checked today on the International Mineralogical Association's website. As of May 2025, there are 6,145 accepted different mineral species.
Wow.
Wow.
6,000 around the world.
So some of my friends, eminent curators and scientists, have named dozens of new minerals. And usually it's part of a team because it takes expertise from many people to do the full characterization.
Sure.
But it's really been a privilege for me to be a partner on those teams, and I've helped discover 2 new minerals.
Oh, wow.
You did?
Yeah.
Tell us about
and
that.
Both of them are from the gem mines in northern Tanzania.
That's interesting. I mean, so they made it sort of through the process. What are they named?
Yeah. The first one is a very rare, complicated structure. It took us 4 years of work, and it's mostly contains molybdenum, lead, and sulfur, but it's found in these Tanzanite gem mines, and I saw that those miners have quite a hard life. So we decided to name it after the town where the miners live to honor the miners, and that town is called Marilani, and so we called the new mineral Marilanite.
Okay.
And the second one only took 4 months to characterize, and we named it after a scientist who loves to study the shapes of minerals and why they occur that way. His name is Pete Richards, and we named it after him. We called it Richardsite.
Okay, this is interesting. Now, how do you determine? I mean, I hear like "ite" and all this, why these terms like that. Where does that come from to give it that sort of that tag of out and that sort of thing?
It's not necessary, but it is pretty common, and it comes from the Greek word for rock, lithos, Lithos, and you add that on to another word that partly describes the mineral. So, for example, graphite, my favorite mineral, the graphene for the Greek for to write, and then you tag that on with lithos, but you chop the L off, and so you get graphite, the rock that writes.
The rock that writes. I like that.
Yeah, so the Marilanite is kind of the rock from Marilani.
Makes sense. I get it. I can see that. So we're talking here with John Jaszczak, who is the director and curator of the A.E. Seaman Mineral Museum at Michigan Tech University in Houghton. What do you tell folks when they're coming up to the Keweenaw Peninsula and they're interested in looking into geology and learning a little bit more about these types of things?
it's really helpful to have a knowledgeable guide, be it a guidebook or a person to help along. So I've really enjoyed visiting the Visitor Center in Calumet for the Keweenaw National Historical Park. There's tremendous history there. It's a very nice visitor center that helps get you oriented a little bit. Then actually touring some of the mines or going down into the mines, they have wonderful tour guides. I'm particularly fond of recommending seeing the Quincy mine because the hoist, I just still can't hardly comprehend the world's largest steam hoist.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, they have really knowledgeable tour guides to give an overview of the mining techniques and conditions, how they changed over time, how important the mining was. And then to see on the surface and to look around, and they can help identify even how some of the topography of the mine layouts and railroads and the city and the waterways all connected to geology.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they should come to the museum and enjoy
sure,
an afternoon in the museum and see out of the dangers and the dirty, wet underground mining conditions to come to the surface and see really what miracles these mineral treasures are to appreciate as mineral specimens, but also to appreciate for how they contribute to our daily lives.
One of the, I guess, like a passion now for folks that are hunting along our lakeshore is to find the Uperlites. Do you have any tips on that?
Well, first I want to comment that it's pretty neat. I remember as a child just loving things that glow in the dark. And now to have rocks that you can shine an ultraviolet light on and see them brilliantly glow in different patterns and bright yellow colors, it's a real treat. So that the new technology of these ultraviolet flashlights is just fantastic. So that has made such a difference. So now that families and kids can have just another activity, they can walk along the beaches looking for agates, but they can also have a nice flashlight. And if it's a little darker out, you can look for the glowing Uperlites. Those Uperlites, it's a very clever name, but they're cyanite rock, which is a kind of igneous rock that, in this case, happens to have the mineral sodalite in it that does the fluorescing orange. And they occur up in Canada, and the glaciers brought them down, and the lake did its work to round them into the nice beach cobbles. But they don't originate here. They come from Canada. And I think probably the beaches on the western shore of the Keweenaw is where people find them the most. And it takes a little patience, as rock collecting always does, and good equipment. It's nice to have a powerful flashlight, and you have to have the kind that has a good filter, so it filters out the visible light, so it's only that ultraviolet that's exposing the mineral and hopefully making it glow if it's a light.
And I did want to mention, and for the benefit of our listeners, when you hear the term Uperlite, Uper is connected to being a Uper, or from the UP, or Upper Peninsula of the state of Michigan, which is, of course, where the Keweenaw Peninsula is, and the Seaman Mineral Museum at Michigan Tech. John, how can people find out more about what you do there, about what you do personally, and then even about the museum and how they can come and see what there is to offer?
Oh, okay. Well, we have a pretty nice website that has all the details about the museum, a teaser of our collections, special events, and, of course, our hours. And we try and keep it up to date for people knowing if we're open or closed for certain holidays. But it's a pretty simple website, museum.mtu.edu. And we also have a Facebook page where we brag about current events, news items. We try and feature once in a while some specimens from our collections. Most recently, we announced that we're giving away coloring books to kids. We recently had a coloring book printed, and the coloring book not only has things you can color, but has some descriptions of the minerals, a brief history of the museum. And so while supplies last, we're giving those to youngsters 17 and under.
Okay, well, that's a good thing to have there in terms of education. Education's a big component of the whole museum, isn't it, John?
Well, it's important for the museum as we're a part of the university. As an informal education, one of my colleagues, I thought, inspired me pretty well. He said, as a museum, you want to inspire more than educate, because if they're inspired, they're going to be lifelong learners. And so that's partly been my vision, that we're trying to inspire people to appreciate the minerals and the science and the history and the stories, and then let it take over from there.
Well, you've shared some very good information with us. Again, that website for the museum is what?
Museum.mtu.edu.
Well, John, it's just been a pleasure. I mean, I can hear it in what you're saying. This is something that's really important to you, but you're getting people from all over too that come in that go probably everything from the gamut of coming in going, I didn't know what to expect and it blew me away, to I can't wait to get here because I'm doing research or I want to learn more. You probably get a lot of that, right?
Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah, we have tourists who didn't plan to come here, but it's raining, and so they come in on a rainy day, or snowmobilers when it's too cold out, or people who say, "Oh, I've heard about this museum. I want to come and see your collection." So we'll take that and go from there, and hopefully they'll have that experience where they come and say, "Wow!" And I do hear that a lot. I love hearing that when they come and say, "Wow, this is amazing."
Well, personally, I am so grateful that you made that trip from Columbus, Ohio, and also to be on the faculty at Michigan Tech. But boy, oh boy, it's there's a lot to see, and certainly for all ages. That's what I love to go to places where the kids and grandma and grandpa, the whole gamut, they're going to find something that they're really intrigued with. And that quote about inspire more than educate. And yes, absolutely, because that's where that whole seed will be planted.
Yes. Many years ago, I heard people talking about museums and mostly just talking about the minerals in the collection. Of course, that's important. You can't be a mineral museum without a mineral collection. But to be a vital museum, it takes people, it takes resources, it takes the collections, and then a goal. What are we going to do with all that? We're not going to just keep it in a box or keep it in a drawer. We want to do something with it and make it available to see and to research. So that's my framework of thinking, putting all those pieces together and being a vital institution.
Well, John, we appreciate your time with us today on the podcast. It's some good information, and I hope to get some folks to look into what you have there at Michigan Tech at the Seaman Mineral Museum. And again, thanks for your time. Oh,
great. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity, because I really do love this place. I want to share it.
Glad to do it. John Jaszczak, who is the director and curator at the A.E. Seaman Mineral Museum at Michigan Tech University in Houghton, Michigan. And, it's funny because I didn't even mention it to John in the conversation, but I grew up in that area, and I've heard of the place for years. I've never actually gone, but when I was doing some work in high school, I was working as a tour guide in one of the mines up there, one of the open to the public mine operations, and we had a portion of it where some of the museum or some of the minerals from the museum were actually on display within the mine, that we hit them with the black light, with the fluorescent light, and they would glow, and there was always that ooh from the people on the tour. But that's really what I think this is all about, to learn that it's much more than just, it's a piece of this or a piece of that. It's a lot more.
Oh, John just puts that whole umbrella over the importance of the minerals, not only of the Lake Superior region, but of course the gems of the Tanzanite area where he also loves to study. But I love that our national parks that ring Lake Superior, and specifically now the Keweenaw National Historical Park. And this is just one of those places to go. So we often think that our national parks are to go and backpack or paddle or to hike. But there's also such learning, and I love inspiration, and how John shared with us on how important inspiration was. And it's right there, whether you go to the museum first and then follow it up at the Quincy or the Delaware mine, or whether you go there first and then go, wow, let's, connect the dots on this. But it's all a part of that history. And it's not just a beautiful place to visit, but you will understand the people that have come before us.
So again, we thank John for his time today, and we appreciate you joining us for another episode of the Lake Superior podcast. As always, if there's an idea of something around the Lake Superior area that you'd like to hear about, find us through the National Parks of Lake Superior Foundation. Let us know. We'll be happy to start looking into it for you, but it's pretty much going to do it for us this time around. I'm Walt Lindala.
I'm Frida Waara. Thanks for listening. The National Parks of Lake Superior Foundation, NPLSF, is the only official nonprofit 501c3 fundraising partner of the National Park Service for all 5 U.S. national park sites on Lake Superior.
To learn more about NPLSF projects and programs, you can visit the website at nplsf.org or friend them on Facebook.
I'm Frida Waara.
And I'm Walt Lindala. Thanks for listening to the Lake Superior podcast.
This podcast made possible with the support of the National Parks of Lake Superior Foundation and Media Brew Communications.
This episode brought to you by Cafe Imports, Minneapolis-based importers of fine specialty green coffees. Independently owned and operated since 1993, Cafe Imports has been dedicated to decreasing its impact on the earth through renewable energy, carbon neutrality, and by supporting conservational efforts in places where quality coffee is grown and also where quality coffee is consumed. Where does your coffee come from?
And by the National Parks of Lake Superior Foundation. As a nonprofit, we rely on support from listeners like you. If you like what you hear, please consider a donation. To learn more and make a gift, visit us at www.gosuperior.org.